The first item of business this afternoon is a statement by John Swinney on the draft budget 2013-14. The Cabinet Secretary will take questions at the end of his statement, and there should be therefore no interventions or interruptions. Cabinet Secretary, you've got 20 minutes.
Presiding Officer, the draft budget for 2013-14 that I outlined today maintains the course set out in Spending Review 2011 and continues our track record of effective stewardship of Scotland's public finances. I look forward to Parliament's scrutiny of our budget proposals ahead of the budget bill in the new year, and I will work with other parties to build as much consensus as I can around the Government's spending plans. As Parliament is aware, Scotland continues to face significant challenges as a result of global economic conditions and the UK Government's approach to the public finances. The settlement we received in the UK Spending Review is the toughest since devolution. Over a 4-year period between 2010-11 and 2014-15, the Scottish Government budget has been cut by more than 11% in real terms, and within that our capital budget has been reduced by a third. The position in 2013-14 is particularly challenging, with a cash terms decrease in the total DEL budget compared to the previous year. It represents the 4th consecutive year for which there has been a real terms reduction imposed on the Scottish Government's DEL budget. In June 2010, when the Office for Budget Responsibility set out their initial forecast for the UK economy, they predicted growth of 2.8% in 2012. Contrast that with the IMF's most recent forecast for growth of just 0.2% in 2012 and the latest OECD forecast for a decline of 0.7%. UK GDP has now contracted for 3 consecutive quarters with a total decline of 1.2%. The decline has been driven by a sharp fall in the construction sector, which has fallen by 8.7% over this period. This data reinforces the case the Scottish Government continues to make that a different strategy is required from the UK Government. When economic conditions remain fragile, shovel-ready capital investment can provide an immediate short-term stimulus, in particular to the construction sector, as well as providing a range of long-term benefits to the people of Scotland from better housing, schools and hospitals. That is why yesterday we and the other devolved administrations called upon the UK Government to consider again the case for a targeted fiscal stimulus now that can support infrastructure investment and create the jobs our country needs. Global economic conditions continue to impact on economic confidence. Business investment remains considerably below pre-recession levels, whilst household incomes remain under pressure. We are therefore focused on enhancing confidence in order to encourage private sector investment and growth and to help thousands where we can. While the UK Government refuses to change course, this administration will continue to do all we can within our powers to deliver growth and support jobs. Over the past 12 months, we have acted decisively to achieve this. Last September, we published the Government's economic strategy and a spending review that set out substantial investment in infrastructure and measures to tackle unemployment. In the face of cuts being made to our capital budgets, we are boosting conventional capital investment through the £2.5 billion pipeline of infrastructure projects that will be delivered through the non-profit distributed model, switching over £700 million from resource budgets to support capital spending, and we are supporting a range of innovative finance initiatives such as the National Housing Trust. Overall, our major investment programmes support thousands of jobs across Scotland. From many examples, here are 2 compelling cases that reinforce the strength of this administration's approach. Firstly, 95% of our annual transport budget of nearly £2 billion was last year invested back into the private sector, supporting over 25% of civil engineering contracts in Scotland and more than 12,000 jobs. And secondly, it is estimated that our housing budget of more than £750 million over 3 years will generate around £3 billion of economic activity and support up to 8,000 jobs each year. The spending review also provided significant investment in skills and post-16 education, including through our Opportunities for All initiative, guaranteeing a training opportunity for any young person between 16 and 19 who is not in education, employment or training. It provided for a record 25,000 modern apprenticeship opportunities, all linked to real jobs. Completion rates have increased to a record 75%, and we now have nearly 55% of our 16 to 24-year-olds employed, compared to a UK average of 51%. And in total, from 2007 until the end of this spending review period, we will have invested almost £5 billion in colleges, 45% more in cash terms than the investment made under the 2 terms of the previous administration. The spending review confirmed decisive support for business, including boosting internationalisation of activity with great success in food and drink exports, use of the Scottish Investment Bank, the establishment of enterprise areas, and the most generous package of business rates reliefs in the UK, valued at more than £2 billion over 5 years, with the Small Business Bonus Scheme providing support to over 85,000 business properties. And at a time when household budgets and public services are under pressure, the spending review provided funding to deliver key commitments we have made to the people of Scotland, working with our local government partners to uphold the council tax freeze, supporting Scottish students into higher education through a policy of no tuition fees, free prescriptions, support for concessionary bus travel, ensuring a Scottish living wage for employees covered by our pay policy, protection for the NHS budget, improving the quality of our schools through curriculum for excellence, maintaining teacher numbers in line with pupil numbers, and provision for 1,000 additional police officers. I confirm to Parliament today that our draft budget will ensure the delivery of all of these commitments in 2013-14. This is a government that delivers on its promises. The spending review also put public service reform at the heart of this government's approach to the public finances and the economy. Our programme of reform is helping ensure that public resources are used to best effect in meeting the needs of the people of Scotland. In particular, we made clear that a decisive shift to preventative spending is essential to improving outcomes and ensuring the long-term financial sustainability of our public services. In partnership with local government, we have made more than £500 million available to 3 change funds to support early years, adult social care and to tackle reoffending. The draft budget announced today provides an update on these funds, illustrating the progress that can be made in driving change across mainstream service delivery. Looking forward, I confirm today that single outcome agreements will incorporate a long-term prevention plan that makes the commitment to increase the resource invested and reinvested over time in preventative interventions. This budget also confirms that we are on track to deliver our ambitious programme of police and fire reform and reflects agreements with local authority partners about the transfer of funding for these services. Presiding Officer, we set out in the spending review an approach that supports economic recovery. We continue to believe that approach is right for Scotland. However, we must remain vigilant to changing economic conditions and respond decisively. In developing the draft budget, I have scrutinised in detail what scope exists to create additional financial flexibility across the government's responsibilities to provide further stimulus. I have reached the following conclusions. Scottish Water has delivered significant improvements to services over the last 10 years. With an annual turnover in excess of £1.1 billion, it employs some 3,500 staff and sustains 20% of the Scottish civil construction industry. After 4 years of water charges being frozen in Scotland, average household charges are now £52 lower than the average in England and Wales, and a significant capital investment programme has been sustained to improve the quality of water services in Scotland. Against this background of high performance and efficiency, I have reconsidered Scottish Water's financial position and have agreed with the enterprise that we can reduce our lending by £45 million in 2013-14, with no detriment either to services or their investment programme. Furthermore, Business Stream have confirmed that they will be in a position to repay the loan made to them in 2008, which allows me to redeploy resources of £28 million over the next 2 years. These steps demonstrate beyond doubt the value of retaining Scottish Water in public ownership. I have also reviewed the benefits of our robust approach to the management of major infrastructure projects, such as the Forth Replacement Crossing. Due to the good progress that has been made, I am able to release budget contingency on the project this year of £20 million. I have also taken into account the efficiencies that the Scottish Futures Trust is helping us deliver in our overall capital programme. Over the past 3 years, SFT has delivered a total of £371 million in savings and benefits to the people of Scotland, and we expect further efficiencies in future including in the school building programme. Furthermore, as a result of general efficiencies in our spending last year, I am able to carry forward more than originally planned through the budget exchange mechanism, freeing up nearly £40 million of additional resources to be deployed in 2012-13. There is also specific programme expenditure available to the Scottish Government through the Green Deal and housing loans amounting to around £31 million for deployment this year and next. I have, with the support from all government portfolios, considered the scope for redirecting resources within existing budgets, within the tight financial parameters that apply. Finally, I have considered our position on non-domestic rates. The Government has introduced several proportionate measures that will generate valuable income, including the Public Health Supplement. We continue to keep the income projections in the draft budget 2013-14 under review. In last year's spending review, we put in place a package of measures to help regenerate town centres and encourage empty properties back into use. As part of this, we believe the changes we are making to empty property relief have a key role to play. In listening to business, I recognise that there is more that we can do. So to further incentivise empty properties back into use, the Local Government Minister yesterday lodged an amendment to the Unoccupied Properties Bill that, if passed by Parliament, will be used to reward those who bring premises back into use with some discounts on their rates bills. I also confirmed to Parliament that we are progressing the implementation of the additional powers set out in the Scotland Act, with an additional £3.5 million allocated in this budget to meeting implementation costs in 2013-14. By exploring all avenues, the steps I have taken enable me to make a number of further spending announcements today, which will support our immediate priorities of boosting capital investment, taking direct action to tackle unemployment, particularly amongst young people, and continuing to enhance economic confidence by encouraging private sector investment. In February this year, we announced a package of £380 million of capital spending over the period to 2014-15, focusing on transport, housing, digital and maintenance projects. And in June, we announced a package of investment in shovel-ready projects valued at £105 million in 2012-13, targeted towards renewables, housing and transport. The second year of the package will include substantial further investment in renewables, road improvements, regeneration, culture and tourism projects. I now confirm today that we will provide an immediate stimulus to the construction industry with further capital investment in affordable housing of more than £40 million over this autumn and next year.
One moment, Cabinet Secretary. I'd be grateful if you could save the applause till the end.
By providing substantial capital investment in housing and delivering more homes more efficiently than was ever achieved under the previous administration, 6,882 new affordable homes were delivered last year, demonstrating that this government is on track to build the homes that our people require. To further boost the construction industry, we are also able to expand the number of schools being built through Scotland's Schools for the Future programme. We will increase the number of schools being built from 55 to 67, and we will build them sooner. The Education Secretary will confirm the detail of these plans shortly, but I am able to tell Parliament that I have authorised the financing of more rapid delivery of the programme by bringing forward £80 million of planned investment from future years into this spending review period through the NPD model. This will further increase the total number of schools being delivered by this administration. 358 schools have already been built or refurbished in the last 4 financial years, more than the previous administration was able to deliver in 8 years, and we have half the number of children in crumbling schools. More generally, our partnership with Scotland's local authorities remains central to this government's delivery programme, and local government's capital investment programme has a key role to play. I know that Parliament will welcome the joint commitment the First Minister and the President of COSLA have made today to work together wherever possible to increase or accelerate capital investment to support economic recovery. This government has long argued that investment in the green economy can deliver multiple economic and environmental benefits. In today's budget, I am announcing a total of £30 million of funding over this year and next for a programme of energy efficiency measures that will tackle fuel poverty, contribute to meeting our climate change targets, and provide opportunities for small and medium-sized construction firms. The package will focus on supporting domestic households to improve home insulation, along with measures to increase energy efficiency in the public sector. We are also continuing our course of additional investment in sustainable and active travel by providing further funding of £2.5 million next year for hybrid buses. Presiding Officer, despite the economic challenges that we face, the Government remains focused on the opportunities for growth and encouraging the development of Scotland's growth sectors. For example, we have seen recent success in tourism, a sector which contributed £2.9 billion to gross value added in 2010, with a 5% increase in visitor numbers over the year to March 2012. With this in mind, I announced today fresh investment of £1.5 million in high-yield marketing to be carried out by Visit Scotland this financial year. Our cultural assets are also a huge strength. This is epitomised by the wonderful success of the National Museum of Scotland, for example, which has attracted over 2 million visitors since it reopened. I am pleased, therefore, to announce additional investment next year of £1 million in the maintenance of historic buildings across Scotland. The forthcoming Commonwealth Games also present a vital opportunity to strengthen our global profile while bringing health and other benefits closer to home through their potential impact on participation in sport and the well-being of our people. Building on the momentum provided by the Olympics, the Paralympics and the promise of the Commonwealth Games, and recognising the impact that sporting success can have, I have allocated an additional £1 million next year to support Scotland's elite athletes in the run-up to the Commonwealth Games. And we are committing an additional £6 million across this year and next to deliver further improvements to Scotland's cycling infrastructure, focusing on our Community Links initiative. As well as supporting our health and well-being agenda, our investment in cycling adds further strength to our efforts to tackle climate change, which will also be enhanced by new funds for peatland restoration, and I'm pleased to publish alongside this budget the latest carbon assessment of our spending plans. I also published today the Government's Equality Budget Statement, which highlights the negative impact of the UK Government's welfare reform agenda, an approach that runs contrary to our determination to create a fairer Scotland. We are responding as best we can with our local authority partners and within our legislative competence to mitigate these threats. This budget confirms additional resources of £23 million next year to mitigate the cut to council tax benefit from the UK Government, and we will continue to engage with the Department of Work and Pensions about the successor arrangements for the Social Fund. Nowhere is the case for independence made more clearly than the contrasting approaches and ideologies of this Government and its counterparts in Westminster in the area of welfare reform. Scotland is a country that more than pays its way in the world, and we will continue to take a distinctive course that prizes effective use of public money, but also reflects our core value that we must support the most vulnerable in our society. Over the last 3 years, our policy of pay restraint has helped to support thousands of public sector jobs, while the Scottish Living Wage and our pay awards have protected the incomes of those who earn the least. And by continuing to implement core economic and social commitments through our social wage, including the abolition of prescription charges, free higher education and personal care, and the freeze in the council tax, we have sought to help households across Scotland. I am now publishing today, alongside the budget, our pay policy for 2013-14. Last year I said I would seek to ease pay restraint. Following a 2-year freeze in basic pay, I am able to announce a modest increase for most employees. The policy caps increases in total costs of basic pay awards at 1% in 2013-14, but with priority for those earning less than £21,000 to ensure that they receive increases of more than this, and the retention of the freeze in basic award for those earning more than £80,000 a year. Our policy also includes a commitment to continue to implement the Scottish Living Wage, not just in 2013-14, but over the remainder of this Parliament. Finally, we renew today our commitment to a no compulsory redundancy policy, providing certainty for public sector staff. These measures will help enhance economic confidence, provide security to thousands of workers, and support jobs and activity across the economy. Presiding Officer, a vital part of our efforts to create a fairer society must be the support we provide to our young people, particularly in the current economic climate. Although the latest figures show a welcome rise in Scotland's youth employment rate of 1 percentage point, youth unemployment remains far too high at 24.3%. In developing today's budget, I have been determined to do more to support those looking and training for work. First, to support our commitments to keep student numbers at 2011-12 levels and provide the necessary student support, I announce today further funding of £17 million for college education. Second, I am announcing today that I will allocate resources to establish an Energy Skills Academy to support the development of skills for a diverse Scottish energy economy in oil and gas, renewables, thermal generation, carbon capture and storage industries. Third, although we have taken a number of steps to support young people, we must create more opportunities for them to secure jobs. One of the key groups that require assistance are 18 to 24-year-olds who have been unemployed for 3 to 9 months. We will put in place an initiative supported by £15 million of government funds and matched by European structural funds and employer contributions. The initiative will work across Scotland and will be focused on the small and medium-sized enterprises in the private sector. As a consequence of this cooperative approach, the government will assist in the creation of up to 10,000 jobs for young people in the private sector. These measures confirm our absolute determination to do all that we can to support the young people of Scotland. Presiding Officer, the Government has today published a draft budget which honours the commitments it has made to the people of Scotland and within tight parameters provides for additional measures to support economic recovery. I have today announced investment in infrastructure, the green economy, skills and employability of around £250 million. In this budget, I confirm that this Government will do all that it can to focus its resources on driving forward Scotland's economy. I commend the budget to Parliament.